Okay, so this is part 2 of the video that I posted last week about how I made a full-length feature film on my phone. And this part is about who I learned so much from. Starting from right now. Okay, so this is part 2 of how I made a smartphone feature-length film. In other words, I made a whole movie on my phone, and how I learned how to do that coming from a place of knowing nothing. Like, you know, I'm a theater artist, I'm a musician, but I knew nothing about filmmaking. I had never even owned a real camera, and I just want to talk a little bit about how I learned to do it. So anyway, just to review real quick, I mean, you can go back and watch the other video if you're interested, but just to recap, I made a feature-length film because I was supposed to open a new play that I had written. I'm a solo theater artist, performing artist. I was supposed to open a play in June 12th of 2020. And obviously that didn't happen. The pandemic came, shut everything down. And so I got really depressed. I felt like I needed to do something to get myself out of it. So I kind of had the audacity, I guess, to decide to make a movie. Even though I didn't know what I was doing. But I knew I had a phone. I did, make a habit of shooting myself while I was rehearsing. So I do like to share my process with people who come to see my theater work. So I would kind of make videos of myself on my phone rehearsing out in the streets, like I do stuff in the street all the time. So, and in parks, things like that. So anyway, I had a little idea of how to shoot myself with my phone. So anyway, how did I learn? Well, I learned the same way that I learned how to buy cell phones. In other words, I'm somebody who never buys a smartphone like a flagship brand new, ever. I always wait about a year because then I can get it really cheap. And I love LG phones. LG actually stopped making phones, so I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. And I actually own a little iPhone now, the SE 2020, which is a tiny little phone. And I got it for free because I added a line to my cell phone service, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I love LG phones because of their multimedia capabilities. Like they have pro audio capabilities. They record 24-bit, 96 kilohertz audio, so you can make WAV files and do pro work with your phone. And they also had great manual controls for filmmaking, for video, and also for photography. So anyway, I learned a lot about smartphones from going to YouTube. You know, people like Juan Bagnell. There's a lot of people out there talking about smartphones, and I learned so much from people like that. And so then when I decided to make this film, I started to kind of move over to the filmmaking world. And that's where I learned about everything. White balance, ISO, manual settings, aperture, exposure, framing, everything. It was like I went to school. I found this incredible world of these amazing filmmakers with these unbelievably generous spirits sharing all this information for free. As a matter of fact, a good example is right now I'm using, I'm making a video right now about, I found a camera and some lenses that my father owned a long time ago. My father was a photographer during World War II. And I actually have some photographs of like mushroom clouds. You know, he was a guy hanging off of a plane taking pictures when they were dropping bombs, which is pretty horrible, but he's got these amazing photographs. And it's pretty ironic. You know, my father's been gone for a long time, and it just amazes me. I didn't have the greatest relationship with him, and now I'm doing what he did. You know, like I could be talking to him about cameras and lenses and focal lengths and zoom versus prime and stuff like that. And I didn't really ever talk to him about anything. You know, we had sports in common. You know, I was an athlete. Anyway, we didn't have a great relationship. It was a lot on me. So anyway, I'm using an old lens of his now, and it's an old Minolta lens that I adapted to my Sony A6400. and it's all manual everything. You know, like I have to set the aperture, I have to set the focus, and so I would never have known how to do any of that. You know, I would have just put this thing on a camera and said, "Oh, this sucks," not having any idea what it looks, what it should, how it should work, and what it actually can look like shooting with it. And it's actually an amazing lens. It's really beautiful. So that's my next video actually that I'm going to put out. But anyway, I came to YouTube and I found some of these amazing filmmakers, like unbelievably gifted. You know, I'm not going to name all of them because I can't do that off the top of my head, but you know, I found people like, I don't know, Danny Vertz, a young guy who is a great filmmaker and very inspirational and does amazing work, and he's self-taught. And I believe that he probably learned in a very similar way. You know, like he had mentioned that he never went to film school, and his work was very inspiring for me and just like off the charts good, and resonated with me as well, you know, what he was doing. There's a guy named Brandon Lee, who to me is like as good as any major filmmaker, you know, and really, really intelligent guy and very insightful with regards to the equipment that he used. He's very, very gimbal oriented, you know, stabilizers. And so I learned so much from him. A guy named Mark Bone, a great documentary filmmaker. I mean, he gives so much information online. It's kind of astounding. There's a guy named Andreas who actually watched one of my videos, saw that I was making another film, and emailed me through my website and asked me if I needed a microphone. And he sent me a microphone just out of the goodness of his heart because he thought it would help me with this film. So I mean, this community is unbelievable. There's a guy named Steven from Purpose Lens Photo and Media, I think it's called, Purpose Lens. This guy is, he's like school. I mean, you watch his videos, he teaches you, like, for example, forget about all the big details like I had already mentioned, you know, the settings of the camera and stuff like that. He teaches me things like how to clean my lenses with a Q-tip, you know, how to take care of my gear, the possibilities of what I can do, you know, like the kind of minor details that a lot of people don't think about. He's a very gifted artist himself, a working professional photographer. He shares, you know, willingly, you know, beautiful videos of his family and stuff like that. He's funny as anything. And he's just a great resource to learn how to use your camera and how to make art, basically make art. I learned so much from a guy named Josh at Make Art Now. I mean, this guy is so gifted, and he actually built this incredible piece of equipment that it's like he's like a mad scientist, but he built something for his YouTube studio that allows him to have movement as a solo filmmaker, which is astounding. It's like he has a cameraman in the room with him moving. So you should check him out. It's called Make Art Now. You know, of course, Gerald Undone and Peter McKinnon and people like that, you know, Parker Walbeck, who is a school, basically. He's got this organization that he put together that is called Full-Time Filmmaker. And I mean, he actually really is the person that started me on this, because I just came across a video of his where he compared the LG V30, which was the phone that I had, with a Red camera, which is like a, you know, a camera that costs as much as a house. And he shot a piece of a film with both cameras at the same time, the camera from the phone and this other camera. Simultaneously, he mounted them together on a stabilizer, and he shot the whole thing together and compared them. And I was blown away. Like my head exploded seeing, because I was like, wow, I can actually do this. Like, I can make a movie with my phone. So Parker Walbeck, man, he really kind of lit me up and started me on this. There's a guy named D4 Darius. I think he was probably the first person that I came across when I started searching on YouTube for stuff. And same thing, like unbelievable, you know, teaching me about small lights that I could find, you know, like basically things that you should always be carrying in your bag with you, you know, Allen wrenches, small lights, microphones, you know, everything, how to frame something, how to think it like a filmmaker. He just really hit me to a lot of stuff. So with him, it was kind of like going to film school, because I think he is a result of film school, I think. So anyway, I don't want to get into too much of this, because I also learned so much from, other people like who are more out in the field. There's a guy named Mount Media, a guy named This Icelandic Guy. These are people who are like more street photographers or environmental photographers or filmmakers, doing stuff out in the real world, and just showing you that you can get out there and just do like work that really documents your life, that you can have forever, that you could share with people, and that you can, in my case, add to the tools of your creative tool chest. Started as a musician. I became a theater artist. I've been doing that for 15 years now. And now, after spending 2 years making this film, I feel like a filmmaker. I feel like I've added to my ability to tell stories in all kinds of different ways. And I owe so much to YouTube for that. I mean, it's amazing. So I really wanted to, share that with you and tell you that, if you are feeling like, you want to do some kind of creative work but you don't want to go to school, or you don't have the money to go to school, or, you don't have the time or whatever, YouTube, almost everybody has a phone, almost everybody is online. And if you are, there's great resource there for free for you to learn so much. You get so much out of it, and in any case, I'm incredibly grateful, and I don't take any of it for granted, and I just want to thank everybody for that. And that's really all I wanted to say about it. I guess I'm going to finish with a woman named Marzia Zaru, who I came across her page, and she did a video about the Sony 55-210 zoom lens, which is basically a lens that no professional would ever think about using, or on YouTube, they would laugh at that lens. Like, I bought that lens used on eBay for $100, right? But for some reason, I use it quite a bit because I love the way it looks. There's something about it that I really like, and I was just starting. So, I'm not the guy buying, $3,000 lenses or, $2,800 lenses or whatever. I bought all the lenses that I bought on eBay, and I got them really cheap. She did a video with the 55-210, and it was like a major motion picture. Like, it was a beautiful, beautiful cinematic experience, that I was just enamored with. And I went to watch more of her work. I saw some stuff that she did shooting people's weddings. And I mean, if you want a wedding that documents your work, like Francis Ford Coppola showed up or something like that, call Marzia Zaru. She's unbelievable, incredibly inspirational for me. And I just want to say there's a lot of people out there. She's somebody who does not have a ton of followers, but in my mind she should. But I don't think she really thinks like that. She's just an artist out here doing work. I have a friend named Jason Cicino, who is a visual artist. He's a painter, but he works in all kinds of different mediums. And he has a YouTube page as well where he doesn't have a ton of followers, I'm not reaching a whole lot of people because I certainly don't have a whole lot of followers on YouTube, but I do have a pretty big social media following. But Jason is an incredibly gifted artist, like John Coltrane level, crazy, gifted, talented, intense, very meticulous, creative artist. And so, don't just let YouTube guide you to the biggest, YouTubers, the ones who have the biggest followings. I mean, they are really, really good. The iJustines of the world, the Peter McKinneys of the world. Like, definitely there's great value there. I mean, they're amazing. Maddie Hapoya, people like that. But also look for the Marzia Zarus and the Jason Cicinos, because you're going to learn a lot from them as well. There's a guy named Jake Frew, who is a filmmaker who does really moving, beautiful work, very inspirational kind of work. He's not really talking about gear or anything like that. He just puts up a 60-second or a 5-minute piece that is like a beautiful film. It's a beautiful story. So anyway, I'm going to stop there. Thank you so much to YouTube. That's how I made my movie. I just took the time to devour YouTube videos and to read as much as I could, to get online, I went to every resource that I possibly could, but YouTube definitely was the main space for me. And I think I made a pretty amazing project out of it. I got this over 2-hour feature film, which was based on the same story that my play was based on, but it became a very different story. And the reason it became a very different story is because over the 20-month period that I worked on it, I started thinking more like a filmmaker and less like a theater artist. But I brought everything with me that I got from being a musician and being a theater person and being now a filmmaker. I brought everything with me, all of it. You know, being an athlete, I brought everything with me. Being a human being, being a social activist, I brought all of it to the table. And I wound up making a project that I'm very, very proud of. And so I'm just saying you could do the same thing. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm going to end this video now. This is just a thank you, part 2 of the first video that I did last week. But this part is really my gratitude to YouTube and to all the YouTubers and to everybody that contributes and puts stuff out there and shares with the community to help people like me trying to learn how to do new things. So thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I'm going to start saying this now. If you like this, hit the like button. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe. I would appreciate that because I'm here for the long run and I'm going to continue to share and try to contribute what I can bring to the table. And if you find value in that, that's awesome. Makes me feel good. So thank you so much, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.